the production on Blizzard is very much different than the production on Diary. Diary's a much cleaner recording, and the placement of the sonic picture is a lot neater.
Well, there was a bloke called Chris Tangarides,
right,
that was a producer, but he came down to Ridge Farm Studios where we were recording, and spent about a week or so with us. And we thought, at the time, well, he's not doing anything that we can't do. Max Norman was an engineer, Chris Tangarides was producer, and then there was us doing, the music and experimenting. And by the end of the week, we said, we don't really need Chris. And so we just said to Chris, there's nothing to do with you, there's nothing wrong with you, but we just don't need a producer, because we've got Max Norman, who's a good engineer. So we produced that first album with Max Norman as engineer. And that's all Max Norman ever was. He was an engineer. He wasn't a producer. What put Max Norman on the map was getting a producer's credit on Diary when he hadn't really been producer anyway. What happened was Max Norman was engineer on that first album. And then on the second album we thought, well, he's engineer again on this. We're producing it again. Let's give Max a credit to help him, and as a thank you, as producer on this album as well. Because if you look at the credits on the first album, it says engineered by Max Norman, produced by Osborne, Daisley, Kerslake, Rhodes.
That's right.
On the second album, because they got rid of Lee and me, it's got produced by Max Norman, Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhodes. And yet Max Norman wasn't really a producer anyway, he was the engineer. And that really put him on the map, and he moved to America and got a manager and
what a career.
Just on the strength of that.
Oh, just phenomenal career.
Yeah, and they left me and Lee off because we were no longer there.
Yeah. What was the reason behind, as I understand it from other interviews that you've given, they wanted to, divorce themselves from Lee, and you decide you're going to, because you're not going to cut.
Well, I kept on standing up for Lee.
Yes.
That they see when we first put the band together, and it was only Ozzy, Randy, and myself. Mm-hmm. Ozzy wanted Tommy Aldrich in the band, and Tommy wasn't available. He was working with Gary Moore.
Right.
And then later, when we had Lee, we'd done the first album, we'd done the first UK tour, and all that. Tommy Aldrich became available, and Ozzy said, let's get Tommy, let's get rid of Lee.
But why?
And I said, no. I said, Lee's perfect for the band, we know that. He's proved himself. It's working fine. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
There you go. That's it.
And then Sharon was involved then with Ozzy. And see, she was a friend of Tommy Aldrich as well. And they kept pulling me aside, saying, let's get rid of Lee, let's get Tommy. And I kept on saying no. And I wouldn't have it.
Well, good for you.
And Lee and I became fairly close then, because we were working well together, and it was all working fine. And they kept on. And then at the end of the recording of Diary of a Madman, I got the phone call saying you and Lee are out. But not long after that, I got another phone call from Ozzy saying, "Come back and help me do the next album, will you?"
Yeah, we got it.
So really, that was their way of getting rid of Lee.
Yeah.
And keeping me, eventually. Yeah. They got rid of both of us to start with, and then got me back.
Well, Bob, and I, for the people who, the fans, who went through this, there's no doubt that it's Randy, you, and Lee. I mean, everybody knows that in their hearts of hearts.
Yeah.
That's, that's a solid thing.
Ozzy did have a lot to do with the vocal melodies and that, but.
Right.
He's not a musician,
Right.
He doesn't play an instrument, and he doesn't write lyrics. So, you can see what his contribution is, but, the melodies were important, so, I always like to give credit where it's due, and his melodies were strong and important, but I think really, when it's really analysed, it wouldn't have happened without, any one of us. It was just one of those things. The four of us got together. It was a special chemistry. It was very creative. We got on great together, and we all did it together. And nobody was really any more important than anyone else.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, somebody has to write the lyrics, eh, Bob? You know,
Yeah.
you got to sing something.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, how about your work when you went into Rainbow? You know, a really pivotal time in your career because this is this is the big step up for you. You know, getting called up to Rainbow.
That was a good step forward, and I loved that band because it was very disciplined and it worked like a well-oiled machine, and it was. You know, Ritchie was very particular in how things should sound and how they were played and how it was rehearsed and how it was arranged, and which I liked. You know, although when you saw us live, it looked like a lot of it was not so contrived, but it was well rehearsed and very, very professional.
Well, this is a question that I always wondered about with someone with your talents and your personality. You know, working with somebody like Ronnie James Dio, who writes good. And Ritchie, who writes great, and now you're coming in with your skills, was in the Rainbow organization room for you to express that end of your creativity beyond the bass?
Really.
Okay.
No, it was all the material was written in a specific way for a specific direction and a specific sound, and it was really Ronnie and Ritchie.
Right, and that was always my impression. But it would be kind of funny. You have this ace lyricist standing there just playing. It's like, well, I guess that's the thing is a lot of people, when a band is, a group of guys working together as a democratic unit, versus it's this guy's situation and his product.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
what it was. It started off being called Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, and then they dropped the Ritchie Blackmore and it became Rainbow, but it was always Ritchie's band.
Right.
He had the last say in everything, so if there was something he didn't like or something he wanted to change or whatever, it had to be done. So I understood that, and I went in there, knowing that and accepting that. So it was a very good stepping stone for me, really, because it was a good experience. It was a good learning time, and I was never sorry I did it.
Oh, well, neither are we. Well, I think it just came out to the stores, the 77 tour DVD.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited to, I think we tried to go down and get that today, but they didn't have it in. But
okay.
I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, that's a good concept, that. I'd only been in the band about 2 or 3 months at that stage.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that was in Munich in Germany in October.
Right.
And I'd just been with the band a short time. But that show, it turned out really, really well. The band was good that night.
Well, we're going to have a good listen to that one down at the school, and we'll watch that.
Yeah.